Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm
Happy
sure that,
Monday.
yes, it's Monday, and as we look out, it looks kind of gloomy, but you know, I look out at that and I get excited because I know we're going to have storms today, and sometimes the results of storms are not good, but I find them a bit invigorating. The idea of the magnificence of God's power and the rain and things that He brings to us that bless our world, but I'm a little weird that way. I just really enjoy sitting in my house and listening to the thunder and lightning and all the power that is with that. And you can't help but be inspired
Well, and you can't help but be completely engulfed in what's happening.
and
Um, it,
humbled by it. I
it,
mean,
something we have no control over,
yes,
and yet,
he loves us.
and he gives it every day. And oh, I see a little bit of brightness out my window. A couple of minutes ago, I did not see that, but now I don't think it's going to be a sunshine, but
No,
it
but
will
it
take
is
away the
brighter than
heavy,
it's brighter than it was a minute ago, but I'm
take
ex-
away
I'm
the
a,
heavy layer.
I'm just kind of looking forward to it. And I hope that everybody else is going to be safe and just kind of listen to God talking to us through the storms.
And we certainly need the rain.
Yes. That kind of leads us into what we were talking about a week or two ago with regard to what do we do after Easter? What's next? What are we going to take with us into the rest of the year? That Lenten experience, the 40 days that we just walked through together, talking about the different things, the different aspects of Jesus' life, the cross, the journey to the cross. I mean, what he had to have been experiencing. So what does that mean for us? And I think that as Methodists, every day is Easter. and experience the resurrection all year long. I found this on the United Methodist website. And I said it says during the Easter season, many Methodists sing, "Every day to us is Easter with its resurrection song." These words open the last verse of "Easter People Raise Your Voices." And it was penned by the United Methodist pastor, Reverend William H. James. And Sue's going to cover that a little bit later. But there's a couple of stories I want to talk about. In 1940, when Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia became part of the Soviet Union, there were 46 Methodist congregations in the region. We didn't become United Methodists until 1968. When Estonia gained independence in 1991, there were only 17 churches left. God, however, was working toward revival. I accepted Jesus Christ into my heart in 1991, says Reverend Sergei Sutskov. It was a time of great spiritual awakening in Estonia. At this time, Estonia seceded from the Soviet Union. 3 years later, Sutskov moved to nearby Kotla Jarva, I probably murdered that, to start Galvary United Methodist Church. Sutskov, a member of the first graduating class of the Baltic Methodist Theological Seminary, founded by the United Methodist Church, continues to pastor this growing congregation, reaching the people of Kotla Jarva. In the early days of Galway United Methodist Church, their biggest challenge was the lack of its own building for the community. Sutskov says in 2007, the congregation moved into a place with sufficient space for worship, Sunday school, and other activities. Reflecting on his faith journey and the church he serves, Sutskov says God responded to the spiritual hunger of people. Every day can be Easter. And one other story out of Arkansas that's a little bit closer to home. Living Waters United Methodist Church in Centerton, Arkansas was just getting started when a fire destroyed their building in 2011. The fire and the loss of the building just seemed like a long line of setbacks and obstacles we had to overcome, says the Reverend Blake Lassiter, who then pastored the congregation. It happened at a time when I seemed to be losing everything close to me. Lassiter's wife was suffering from pancreatic cancer and would pass away 4 months after the fire. We are called to place our absolute trust in God, even when we cannot see a way forward, Lassiter explains. That's what I ultimately did. It wasn't easy. After 2 years of struggle, the new building opened in 2013 with a sense of renewal. The fire made people into a community of faith, Lassiter says. I learned that loss can be absolutely overwhelming and leave you feeling that there is no hope. And it is in those moments we are called to trust God the most, Lassiter reflects. When we cannot see beyond the next horizon, when we can't imagine the sun ever rising again, God is still there working in Louisiana, Estonia, and Arkansas. The sun will come up again. Every day can be Easter.
And
There's
Debbie, I would just like to re-emphasize a couple of the quotes from the people that shared this information. The first one, and it's so important to all of us, reflecting on his faith journey and the church he serves. And he says, even through all of the trials, God responded to the spiritual hunger of people. We can have Easter every day. And the other one was, we are called to place our absolute trust in God, even when we cannot see a way forward. That's what I ultimately did, he said. It wasn't easy. And it isn't an easy journey. We all know it's not an easy journey.
Well, I just can't imagine, you know, being a good supportive spouse to a wife who is facing a life-threatening illness, watching her slip away every day and feeling like his church had kind of slipped away in the devastation. But that's kind of how I think some of the people felt, Jesus followers. They felt that they had been given this gift and they had been seeing the light and been in the light for 3 years, and now they weren't. It was gone. It was snuffed out. It died on the cross. And then from Friday to Sunday, the that's a long journey when you're devastated. I mean, no light. The light is totally gone from the world in for 3 days. And then on Sunday, everything is possible yet again. And carrying that through to everything. I know when we sit in our own church meetings and we talk about the future and we look at the budget and we look at church membership, but we don't stop to think about sometimes all the things that are positive that are going on. I
Yeah,
mean,
there's so much positive.
yes. The two young children in our church service every Sunday, they are just so cute. And I welcome them, and I look forward to their being themselves every Sunday. Children have that ability to be themselves better than we do as adults. And I think what a blessing to be able to remember what it was like to be a child and be yourself, under your parents' supervision, of course.
Yeah.
There was only so much of myself mother would let out, but I mean,
Well, and yesterday when Braylon ran down the aisle, I thought, oh my goodness, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all stand at the back of the church and run down the aisle,
yes.
that with that much enthusiasm and that much excitement. And I'm
I mean, everybody has a little bit of a giggle or a smile on their face. I watched the the life come into each person's face that are sitting close by and I can watch. And
Yeah,
I think to myself, those children bring so much of a gift to our church every Sunday morning. And it's just when they weren't there for Easter, it was during Easter time when they were on vacation, it was like, well, there's a little bit of light that's gone.
that spark, that little spark, those two little
Yes,
sparks.
yes, and they're
Yeah,
just innocent and but their light, they don't know how to not let their light shine. It just comes through
that is
so
true.
loving.
That is true. And
Yeah,
we all need to feel that innocence, that security, which is kind of hard to do at the same time, but to to be able to let our light shine, let the Easter come out every day.
my son-in-law, I had a party for my daughter, my granddaughter, for her 15th birthday, and he what he did was to entertain 15-year-olds is no easy feat. So, they're not easily impressed, but they're good. They were good girls. And so he taught a class on how to make sushi.
Oh,
And so he was doing all the ingredients and he stands behind the bar and they're all seated in the bar stools around and they're each rolling up the sushi and putting them in the wraps and doing the every the different steps and stuff. And so my when I asked my granddaughter how she liked that all at the end of everything, she says they had a good time. We all had a really good time. And I thought, he found the right tool to engage 15-year-olds. And I thought they were excited to participate and the energy was refreshing. Children are like standing under a waterfall sometimes. And it's just so cleansing and so uplifting. And just when you expect them to not react well, they surprise you.
and that waterfall we can be in two places. We can be behind the waterfall, watching, anticipating, or we can be in the waterfall and be refreshed and
Yes.
cleansed and invigorated. And you, when you were talking about the girls participating, that is a huge word.
Yes.
If we are truly to be Easter people, we have to participate. We have to invite others to participate because it's through our actions that we make every day a world for Easter people.
Yes. And with children, I noticed that it's so hard to get them away from their electronics, and so it's a real
You mean
challenge.
like this?
Yes. And so I've noticed my kids are doing such a great job of being parents in this electronics age because that sushi cooking experience was they weren't sitting there on their phones. They were busy doing prep for the meal. And then my son and his family took a vacation down to Devil's Den, Arkansas for a state park, and it had a waterfall in it. That's what made me think of the waterfall picture. Is the boys were standing behind the waterfall, and they were using their phones to take a picture of the waterfall. But the whole family went on a hike, and they only were able to use their phones just long enough to take pictures and not to sit there and text and all of that. So I was happy to see all my kids and my grandkids out and about this weekend doing things together as families and making that connection and the memories that we all love about our own lives.
Right. And now, some of us don't have family that lives close, but we certainly have friends that live close. And we need to cling to those friends and enjoy their company and share sushi making parties. I, I don't care for sushi, but I
Me neither.
understand. Well, you don't have to put raw fish in it. I was told that because one of my granddaughters said, "Ooh, Grandma, I love sushi," and I was like, "Really?"
Yeah. But
And
California rolls are good. They
yeah,
don't have any crawfish in them,
no,
and those are very good. I would recommend those. I will eat those. But
so little vegetable rolls. So yeah.
yes, yes. There's ways
Um,
to find ways to you have to find ways to connect. And that's part of the resurrection, connecting with Jesus, connecting with our friends. And my friend Joe and I were talking together this last week, and we were talking that um, friends are so important as we get older, because we've lost our parents, we've lost some of our family, our esteemed family members, and to find that connection again with others, it's good friendships are friends are the family you choose. You have the
that's
family that
true.
you're born into. You have no choice over that, but you have close ties there. But then you have friends that can be lifelong friends or late life friends, or doesn't matter, but if you make those connections, we support each other in that last stage of life, or the next stage. I don't want to say last, because there's really no last.
There's no last. It's the next.
That's right. And I just think that friendships, deep and caring friendships, will carry us through when we have lost family members.
You know, I have a 60th class reunion coming up end of May. But I was only 10 when I graduated from high school.
That's right.
Yeah. So
My fifth,
anyway,
yeah, my
it's always good to see classmates, to be with classmates, and catch up with what have you done the last 5 years? What has happened in your life? What transitions? What moves did you make? What new things have you experienced? And even though we don't see each other for 5 years, it's like we just pick up where we left off 5 years ago. And it's that kind of a relationship. And I think our Easter relationship with God is very similar. We can be gone for a while, but as soon as we come back, he never leaves us. But as soon as we come back, that comforting, supportive, loving relationship is always there for us. It's always there. One of the things when you were talking about the situations, the disasters at the beginning, I wanted to share about the mission trips that 10, 12 of us took back in 2011 when we went to Joplin after the tornado. Um, that that was kind of like an Easter people experience, because there was renewal on several different levels. Yes, we went down to work, and that was like a spiritual renewal for us, because we knew that they desperately needed help, and it was through the church, and we stayed in a local church that was there. But it also was the physical renewal of their property, um, helping them find pieces of their life that they thought might never be found again, or finding a cross on an altar in a church that the church was totally destroyed, but there sat the cross, not attached, just there sat the cross.
we're
You know,
attached to the cross, not the cross attached to us. And I think that's what we forget. We are
yes,
that symbiotic relationship of us being attached
yeah,
as part of our walk.
yeah. And it was emotional for us, because we saw I'm going to say their spiritual renewal as well, because they were so grateful, and the thank yous and the hugs and the blessings that we received while we were there. And I think I think we went 4 times, 3 for sure, but some of the same people that we worked with were there, and they were so grateful to see us come back and to help. And the thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and who knows how many hours of volunteer work went in as God's hands to help fix what the tornado had torn apart. Pretty powerful.
Well, and then there was Katrina. I remember Hurricane Katrina, and
Katrina.
yeah,
Yes.
that was devastating. We sent even from our little church in Susanville, we sent a team down through UMVIM, United Methodist Volunteers in Mission,
Mm-hmm.
and they spent over a week down there rebuilding someone's home. It was a life-changing experience for the team that went. They were so energized and so um, glad to be of service. I think there are times we wonder whether our efforts bear fruit. And so in those cases, it's easier when something is totally gone, totally devastated, to begin to build something new. When you can have it tangible, be able to touch it, be able to have a part in it, is it invigorates the giver of time and it invigorates the receiver. And it's so life-giving, is I guess that's the blessing of the resurrection, life-giving. We have been given new life.
And we can give life not in the same way, but we can give new life to anybody that we come in contact with. Those simple things that we keep talking about, the smile, the hello, how are you? How can I pray for you? Open the door. Just a kind word, or somebody drops something and you can pick it up. Just doing
A
God's,
child's smile.
yes, yes. Just being there for somebody, just a hug, a conversation. We can all do those things.
A cup of coffee
A cup of coffee.
with our friends every Monday morning.
That's right. That is so right. Absolutely. There was something that I took out of another article that I wanted to share from a different perspective about what does it mean to be Easter people. And I'm going to paraphrase this, so bear with me. With the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ from the dead, and after keeping the discipline of Lent and intense prayer, active good works of charity, and the doing of sincere penance is the great proclamation. Is this our proclamation? If we say yes, then for this yes to be true and sincere, we must actually live like Easter makes a difference in our lives. And that's what, Debbie, that's what you and I talk about every week. How Easter makes a difference in our lives. It's those things that we do. It's the communications, the helping hand, all of those things. But if we say no to the proclamation, that is truly a great sadness. We have literally wasted Lent and so much more. God has given us his grace to correct our faults and to conform our very lives and persons more closely to Jesus. In essence, we have admitted that Easter does not really matter in our lives. And none of us want that. But we're human. We prefer to go the other way, to go the way of the world sometimes, because it's easier rather than to follow faithfully. However, no matter what, the Lord does not abandon us, but continues to offer us the opportunity to return to him with our whole hearts. What St. Augustine meant in that Easter Sunday sermon when he taught his people what it means to be Easter people was simply this: their faith in Jesus, crucified and risen, must be lived by imitating him every day of our life. The way they spoke, the way they taught, and the way they acted. Anything else was a betrayal of Jesus and their faith. It was true then, and it is just as true today, and it will always be. It's like God is the same today as God was yesterday. Jesus is the same today as Jesus was yesterday. It's us,
He didn't exclude people. He didn't put conditions on faith. He
right?
didn't, you have to be a certain way in order to follow me. You just have to put down your worldly things and follow him. Pick up his cross and follow him. There should be no hesitation. Our feet might stumble. We might, not believe we can carry the cross, but we can.
With
Every
his
day.
help, with his
Yes.
help,
Well, we don't have to do it alone.
with the help of our church, with the help of our church family.
Yes. Your community of faith. Every community of faith can offer that, as long as it is inclusive of the least among us, because that was Jesus's following, is he met with the people who were least among us, not with the wealthy, not with they didn't concern themselves with money, but the disciples had to learn to trust that too, because they didn't understand in the beginning how they were going to get anywhere, whether they could eat on the other end of their trip to Greece or their trip to Rome or wherever Jesus sent them. They didn't have any resources, no pocket money. Oh, here's an allowance and you have this much money to get there. Here's
Yes,
your gas money or
yes.
your donkey money, whatever you want to call it.
It wasn't like, yeah, here's your allowance, go out and have fun this week.
Yeah, no,
That,
you have
yeah,
to trust that God will provide the people, us, to take care of them.
that
That's
trust is hard.
yes.
That trust is really hard. I'm a person. Well, I'm not just a black and white person, but I do want to know the details. That's where I
See,
struggle.
well, and I've learned to care about the details because it's not part of my who I am. The details are not in my makeup. I tr- I've always flown by the seat of my pants kind of thing. And for me, trusting that there'll be something good at the end of it is not abnormal. It's something I do without even thinking, which is another thing. Oh, you don't think, you don't plan, you don't. I've always been criticized for not having a plan necessarily, but I can respect the need for a plan, and I can respect those who have the gift of planning and the gift of looking ahead, making plans. But
But what is that we say, the best laid plans?
mice and men.
So I take that to mean, yes, you better have a plan, but you better have a backup also. You better have route A, B, and C just in case.
Well, the problem with that is God had that already. In my way of looking at the world, it's like, it'll be there, it'll be okay.
Yeah,
Sometimes it is in my world, and sometimes it isn't,
it
bringing back the need for planning.
Oh, I want to share one more thing that Debbie, that you mentioned at the beginning about the Dr. Reverend William James and his ministry of 97 years. Um, he was born in, well, golly, I don't know when it didn't say. Anyway, he received his license to preach in 1936. He was in different locations, but he wound up in the Bronx and in the Harlem area of New York. they gave him a church. He founded a church with 0 members. Now, boy, that's faith. And in only 8 years, that church grew to 900 member congregation. He shared in an interview in 2004, it was during that time I learned to minister to gangs and street people, just like Jesus. And then he started, that church was started in 1952. He was there for 33 years. He retired in 1985, quotations around retired, but he continued his ministry to the young people and to Harlem until he was 97 years old. Amazing. That is what Easter people truly look like and truly live like. No, we don't have to be in the mission field for 97 years, but every day of our life. My dad was 101 and a half when he passed, and he was still in the mission field till the very end. What a blessing.
Yes.
And we can be that blessing to others as well. So think about that this week, how you can be a blessing, and what is your mission field? How can you be an Easter person all week and the rest of the year?
And don't forget, if you need to remind yourself, get yourself a little book to write down the things.
That's right.
That come to you, because you might be able to share that with someone as part of your mission.
Yep, absolutely.
We'll
see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.